All right, so it is Monday. My mouth feels weird. And it is time for my reading update for the week. This is why you don't wear all black. Because then you realize you got stuff on your clothes. Sorry. So this week is actually a little different because I just have arcs that I've finished or I'm currently reading. And I do have some new reads I'm about to start this week, but my update primarily is going to be on what I've already completed or have started. So the first book I'm going to talk about is King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. I was so thrilled when I got the email from NetGalley that I got approved for the audiobook and I also got approved for the EPUB. And if you're new here, welcome. I am an S.A. Cosby stan account. I absolutely love his writing. I think it's phenomenal. And this book lived up to the hype and lived up to the reputation that he has made in the community. So I will say some of the things about this book that were grinding. I feel like one thing I love about S.A. Cosby's writing is that he gives you the ability to look past sometimes the suspense and the thrill of it, and you really fall in love with the characters in his stories. And so you have, I call him Big Ro. Rowan was the main character of this story. He has to come home to his small town in Virginia to help his family out after his father's been in an accident. And as he's there, he unearths a lot of secrets that have been hidden. But if you've read any S.A. Cosby work before, you know that there's always more than meets the eye with the characters and the dynamics within the book. And then you're just waiting for that plot twist to come. And of course, the plot twist delivered in this book as well. I do feel like this one was a little slower paced than some of his other work. It reminded me more of Razorblade Tears, and that it really gets you pulled into the suspense and the buildup of the relationship with the characters within the book, more so than just like the it factor, the wow factor of the thrilling aspects. So I really enjoyed it. The brother in the book, Dante, made me want to fight. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but this is a 5-star read for me. I don't think S.A. Cosby can do any wrong. I read one book of his, I bought them all automatically. And again, I just feel like he has such a way of pulling you into the story and getting you invested in the characters. And this book wasn't any different. And again, if you haven't read any of his work, I definitely suggest it and be on the lookout for this one. I'll include the pub date on screen so you can be looking for that when it releases soon. All right, so my second arc that I'm reading is again, y'all know I'm dipping my toe. I started on that, dipping my toe into fantasy. I've read a few last year. I've read a few so far this year, and so I saw a Instagram post, or maybe it was on TikTok, Book Talk, or somebody was like, I know exactly who it was. It was Jazz. Do Not Disturb. I'm reading. I think she sent me a DM and she was like, "You need to go request this book. It has a 7-foot shadow daddy with grill. Sign me up." So, Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport. And for one, I was a little slow on the uptake. I didn't even pick up on the fact that it was going to be a fantasy novel. But when you tell me there's a 6-foot or 7-foot man with a grill and he's a menace, yeah, I'm going to run to that. So thankfully, I also got approved for this arc through NetGalley. And have been pleasantly surprised with this one so far. So I will say for me, this one started off a little slower than I would have liked. So far, I'm at 43%, so I'm not quite done yet. But I will say it took me like 3 days to read chapter one, and I just think it was hard for me to grab a hold of it and to really start like sinking my teeth into it. I was also trying to multitask the first couple times I picked it up, and so I did figure out that with this one, I really need to pick it up when I had time to devote to read it. Um, the main characters in this one are Rashida, and who is a princess, and then you have Malachi, who is a king of his area. And there's like 6 realms, and there's just competing interests for who the true king is, for who should be reigning sovereign over the people. And it gets really good really quick because, like I said, I did take me a minute to get into chapter one, but baby, when I hit chapter three, I was like, this is a little messy. And I like mess. I like shenanigans. But the dynamics of the two main characters. So Rashida, she is very headstrong. She knows what she wants. She has ideas for herself, which is not common for the time, right? At the time, she's a woman. She's meant to be used as a pawn to further the needs of her people. But she is just not okay with that. And she makes some choices which really puts her people's welfare on the line. Well, then you enter Malachi. That's what his mama called him, but that's not actually his name. And I cannot say his full name. I will put it on the screen. But Malachi is essentially her enemy. But because they have a mutual enemy, and because of some interactions they have earlier in the book, they kind of come together to join forces to help eradicate this mutual threat. But it's spicy, and like I said, it hits off. I mean, it goes off. I want to say chapter 3 or 4, which that says a lot about me. That's what really pulled my attention in. It really got me engaged in the book. But I'm really enjoying just watching the dynamic between the two main characters and the places that they're from. I will say, as a newbie to fantasy, this has been easy for me to digest in terms of just the languages and the different elements that are included into it. And so if you're into high fantasy, I don't know if it'll have that same pull for you. But if you just like that magical realm and those elements, with good characters, and again, it has some spice. It is open door. Um, this is the arc, so I don't think there's any content warnings or anything included in it, but I could be wrong. Do not quote me on that. But this, so far, so good. I have not been able to put it down now for the last few days, and I hope to have it finished hopefully by the end of this week. So those are my updates for the week. Again, I'll be starting a buddy read this week. And then our Tomfoolery podcast has a buddy read starting next week. So this is more going to be just buddy reads and arcs for the rest of this month, because I have gotten myself in a little over my head with arcs, and I have to start prioritizing these or else they're going to be late. But again, I think so far, definitely for sure, S.A. Cosby, King of Ashes. Everyone needs to pick that one up. If you're into thrillers, if you're into S.A. Cosby, it's a must read when it releases in June. And then so far, so good. I feel like this is going to be one that I'm going to recommend as well for the fantasy girlies out there or the romantic girlies out there, because this one so far has all the elements that are keeping this story very juicy.